What is up, everyone? We're back again with another top 10 list. This is going to be my top 10 underrated movies. Now, this doesn't mean that they are actually the top 10 most underrated ever. If you're a film you feel is underrated, not on this list, then it's probably because I haven't seen it, because it's underrated. Now, this is quite a hard list to do. How do you define underrated? It's a tough one, really. I mean, it might be a popular movie, but doesn't get talked about enough, but a lot of people have seen it. I don't know. It's a hard one to come up with. But I feel like these 10 I've got here will fit into the category of underrated. So, excuse me hair, by the way. It's getting a bit out of control now. I might have to wear a cap in a few weeks' time or on the next video or whatever. But what can you do? I think we'll all appreciate our barber or hairdresser after this is over, won't we? But I've got a few honourable mentions before I get into the top 10. So let's just get on with them first. Okay guys, for my 4 honourable mentions, there are reasons I haven't put them on the list, but I wanted to mention them anyway. The first one is Togo. Now the reason I haven't put that on there is because it's a fairly new movie, and this might gain a lot of popularity over the years. It only come out last year, but I do feel at this moment in time, not really many people have seen it. Only people who have really recommended it to. And it's a fantastic Disney Plus original movie. So if you have Disney Plus, definitely check it out. I've got a full review for that. I'll leave the link down below for all my reviews if you want to check it out. The next one I've got is Death Proof. Another reason I left this out is because it's a Quentin Tarantino movie, and a lot of people like Tarantino, so they've probably seen that film. However, I don't think it gets talked about enough. I do actually think it's somewhere midway with his best films. I prefer it to Kill Bill 1 and 2, personally. And I've always wanted Tarantino to go into a horror movie, and that's the closest you're going to get for the films he's got out now. And Kurt Russell is fantastic as Stuntman Mike. I don't think it done too well because he released it as a Grindhouse feature where it was just this hour-long movie. But he has released it now as a 2-hour and a bit movie, the longer cut. And I think it's definitely worth a watch. I love it. Got some fantastic music in there. Another one is Chronicle. This is a found footage movie about these 4 teenagers. I think Michael B. Jordan's actually in the film. One of his first movies. I think it's him. And they sort of gain these superpowers, but sort of go out of control with them. And the reason I left it off is because I've got another found footage movie on this list, which is slightly better in my opinion, but that is still a very strong found footage film. And the other one I put on this list, in this honourable mention, is Gangster Number 1. And I feel like I've got another British gangster movie on here, and I feel that one is more well known than the one I've got on my list. But that's a fantastic movie with Malcolm McDowell and Paul Bettany in. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. When people talk about gangster films, I don't think it gets enough mentions. So definitely check out Gangster Number 1, guys. It's brilliant. But let's just get on with the top 10. They are my honourable mentions. Coming in at number 10 is going to be Sin City 2, A Dame to Kill For. Now the reason this is on the list is because it absolutely bombed at the box office for some unknown reason. I remember I went to see it with my fiance, and there was only us two and another couple in there. And when I looked it up, it did actually bomb at the box office. No one went to see this movie. It lost a lot of money after a lot of budget going in. And for the life of me, I'll never know why, because it's a fantastic sequel. It's done all in the same style as Sin City, where we have 3 different stories, and they're all great fun stories with all memorable characters. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is really strong in this movie, and we've got Marv returning, Bruce Willis is back in it. It's a solid sequel, and if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, especially if you like the first movie. Number 10 is Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Number 9 is going to be 1 Hour Photo. If you want to see Robin Williams in a serious role, this is the one to watch. And he's great at his comedy, but this is a good example of him being a strong actor as well, who can do drama, and he comes across as a really creepy character in this. Basically, he works at a photo booth where people go and get the photos developed, and the same family come there every couple of weeks. And near the start of the movie, you realise that Robin Williams has been making copies of the family's photos for himself, and he feels he's a part of that family. It's a very strange film, and a very solid one, to be honest. Definitely check out 1 Hour Photo if you like a good little thriller movie. and Robin Williams in something different. So number 9 is 1 Hour Photo. Number 8 is going to be Dread, not the Sylvester Stallone film, the one that came out about 10-12 years ago, I think. The R-rated 18 certificate violent movie called Dread. It was done in 3D as well at the time, I think. My Blu-ray is 3D anyway. And this is a really strong action movie. Comic book movies tend to go down the family fun route, but this one is balls to the wall, intended for adults. And basically Dredd's got to go at the top of this, or Judge Dredd should I say, has got to go at the top of this building to catch this criminal played by Lena Headey, who you might remember from Game of Thrones. She is the queen. I forgot her bloody name, the main queen's name, but she's a great villain in this film, and there's lots of action, lots of violence if you like that sort of thing. You know, lots of great kick-ass action scenes. It's a really strong movie that doesn't get talked about enough, and I would love a sequel to this. I love it when comic book movies go down the adult intended route, and this is one of them. So number 8 is Dread. Number 7 is the British gangster movie I was talking about in my honourable mentions, even though it's a bit of a comedy, and that is Love, Honour and Obey. Well, I say a bit of a comedy, it is a comedy, but half a gangster film too. And this is one of the main reasons that I wish I hadn't got rid of my DVDs, because you can just not get this on Blu-ray anywhere. It stars Jude Law, Ray Winston, but there's a lot of other well-known British actors in there. And what's funny about this film is Jude Law is actually called Jude in the film. Ray Winston is actually called Ray in the film. They go by the real names. There's some really funny moments in this, but it doesn't forget that it's a gangster movie when it comes to the movie's climax, as it goes in a very serious route and some depressing scenes happen. And it's just a film that never gets talked about. I looked up the top 100 British movies a while ago, and that wasn't even on the list, which is amazing to me. It might be a little bit cringy now if I watch it back. I haven't seen it for a long time, but that is a movie I would love to watch again. So number 7 is Love, Honour and Obey. Number 6 is going to be Oculus. This is a fantastic movie by Mike Flanagan, and I'll admit, I am not his biggest fan. I thought Dr. Sleep was okay. I didn't like that series he made on Netflix called The Haunting of Hill House, is it? Just did not like that at all, but this is definitely the best thing I've seen made by him. And Chris Stuckman, who everyone knows on YouTube, always banged on about this film being underrated, and he couldn't have been more spot on. It's one of the best horror movies I've seen from the past decade. It sort of carries a Hereditary vibe with it. It's a very clever, creative horror film, and it's basically about this mirror, and everywhere it goes, disaster strikes. Like, families who put this mirror in their house end up just being wiped out. And it's basically Karen Gillan from Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, or Jumanji The Next Level, you remember her by, investigating about this mirror and why all these tragedies strike. And she is fantastic in the lead role in this movie. If you love your horror, guys, definitely check out Oculus. So number 6 is Oculus. Number 5 is going to be the reason I left out the movie Chronicle, because this is the found footage film I was talking about, and it is House LLC. This is streaming on Prime right now. It's the most recent movie I've watched on this list. And I don't get scared by films easily, guys, but this creeped me the hell out. It is such a well-made found footage film. It's basically about this group of people who buy this house. This group of teenagers who invest in and buy this house, and they do it up like a tourist attraction so people can go in, and it's all like a haunted house theme. And on the first night, 15 people are killed, and it's basically an investigation into what happened. It's a really creepy film, guys, and so underrated. I would definitely watch this on Prime. I couldn't recommend it more. And in the link below where I have my reviews, I'll leave this one as well, because I've done a full review on this not long ago when I started my Horror Revisited series. So number 5 is House LLC. Number 4 is going to be a sequel to one of the best horror movies ever made, and that is Psycho 2. I just think this is a fantastic whodunit movie, because Norman Bates comes out after 22 years and you're not quite sure if it's him committing the murders or not, because he's not quite sure. It's just a really well made film, and you might have think might have been a cash grab to cash in on such a successful film, but it's really well done, really well written, And I love these type of movies where you're on the edge to the end of the seat guessing what's happening. It's honestly, guys, it's one of the best whodunit movies ever. But I won't give nothing away. Just go it. If you like Psycho, definitely give this a go. Don't brush it away and think, oh, that's just going to be terrible. Psycho 2, you're not going to beat the first one. Obviously, you're not going to beat the first one, but hey, Quentin Tarantino prefers Psycho 2 to Psycho 1, so there you go. Yeah, so number 4 is Psycho 2. Number 3 is going to be Lost Highway. Now, this is a David Lynch movie, and every time people mention David Lynch, they bring up Mulholland Drive or Blue Velvet. I'm guilty of it myself. But this gets brushed up way under the radar too much. All David Lynch's directional qualities can be seen in this movie, just as they can at Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive. And this is basically about a couple who are getting tapes left outside the house. And when they put the tape on the VCR player, it's basically someone watching them from outside the house. It's so creepy. And Robert Blake probably plays one of the scariest characters I've ever seen in a movie. There's a scene where he comes up to Bill Pullman at a party, and it is absolutely terrifying. But it's probably not a movie for everyone, because in the second half of the film it goes in a different direction. That's not a spoiler, guys. That is on the back of the Blu-ray. It's well known about the film. But definitely give it a go. It's like nothing you've seen before. And I just think this is part of why David Lynch is one of the best directors ever, in my opinion. I haven't seen all of his movies, but this is one of them, and each one I've loved. Each one I've seen I've loved, and this is one of them. Definitely check out Lost Highway, guys. That is number 3. Number 3 is going to be a movie called The Woman. This is basically about a feral woman living in the woods, and this family sort of find her and capture her. This family living on this farm in the middle of nowhere. And instead of doing the right thing and calling the police and stuff, they decide to keep her locked in the basement. And the father of this family is so strange. I won't say any more than that, guys, but definitely check it out. Arrow are releasing this movie, I think, in a couple of weeks, unless it's a different movie called The Woman with the same title. But I'm pretty sure it's this one. And it's a brilliant film, guys. I think the subtitles, I'm sorry about that if that's not your thing, but it's like nothing you've seen before, and it's a very original story. I really like this one. So number 2 is The Woman. Okay, guys, just before I mention my number 1, I just want to let you know this was very hard to put this list in order. Number 8 could have easily been at number 2. It's hard to say which is more underrated than the other. However, my number 1 will always remain the movie that I recommend to people as my most underrated movie of all time. So that's the reason it's number 1 on this list. Unless something changes my mind, it'll probably always remain number 1. And that is Frailty. This is the most underrated thriller of all time, in my opinion. There's a little bit of horror in there. No one talks about this film enough. You know, it was on Netflix not long ago, and people were asking for Netflix recommendations, and I kept saying this, and no one had seen it. And they eventually come back and said, oh yeah, it's a good film. And this is basically directed by Bill Paxton, who you'll remember from Aliens. He's fantastic, Bill Paxton. You know, rest in peace. And it also stars Bill Paxton, and it's basically about him and his 2 sons who live in this little farmhouse, and he comes home one day. He's very heavily religious, Bill Paxton, in this film, and he says to his sons, I've been visited by a demon, I've been visited by an angel at work, and we've got to go out, us 3, and do God's work and kill these demons, but they're disguised as people. They look like people, but not the demons. His young son is totally with him, saying, yeah, I want to follow God's orders, Dad, I'm with you. And the other son just thinks he's totally lost his mind and will not go along with it. We'll not say any more than that, guys, but trust me, it's a fantastic movie. It really is. And along with Bill Paxton, we've got a young Matthew McConaughey in here and Powers Boothe. It's a strong cast. Actually, I will say one more thing. The ending to this film is incredible. One of the best endings to a movie I've ever seen. Definitely check it out, guys. My number 1 is Frailty. Okay, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed this top 10 underrated movie list. I'll probably do this again in a year or two. My opinions might change. There might be more movies that I'll see by then that could go on this list. But for now, these are 10 movies that I would definitely check out if you haven't seen them. There's probably a chance there's some on this list you haven't seen. In fact, I'm willing to bet that there definitely is. And if you want more, guys, please subscribe to this channel because I've got a lot more videos coming. If you want to comment underneath, I will reply to every single one of you, I promise. Let me know if you know any underrated films and I'll get back to you, I promise. But thanks all for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take it easy. See you later.